is here. Wow.
Okay.
I missed you in Toronto, but I get to see you.
Okay. Where we left off before we were learning the dinim of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, and all that stuff. We're left off in the dinim of what's called brachas, a brichas hanenin. You know, what bracha you make a what, and so on and so forth like that. Okay, we're up to now. Okay, we were learning, last thing we were learning, again, before we went into the Yom Tov laws, that there's certain after bracha, like ala michya, if you eat a kazayas of either cake or the fruits of Eretz Yisrael, you know, grapes, olives, dates, figs, pomegranates, and then you have sometimes you make a bracha b'rei nefashos. We learned that b'rei nefashos is not like shahakol, meaning if somebody by mistake on an apple made a shahakol, so it's good, you know, but the other they don't have to go make another bracha. But if somebody ate a piece of cake and afterwards made a b'rei nefashos instead of ala michya, it's no good because it's not the after bracha for cake. For the after bracha for cake or wine or the fruits of Eretz Yisrael is ala michya or ala eitz, whatever it is. But it's different than that. Now, if somebody ate half, in order to make, I'm just quickly reviewing where we left off before we took the Yom Tov break. If somebody ate a half a kazayas of cake, a half a kazayas of apple, so which after bracha do you make? You make the lesser of the after brachas, meaning you would make a b'rei nefashos, right? Because you had a kazayas, but you didn't have enough of a kazayas to mandate the ala michya bracha, but you still, because you ate a kazayas of food, you would have to make the b'rei nefashos. No, potato knish is in Dustin, we're going to get to a little bit later. A potato knish is mezainis. Okay, so now the question is, how much of the potato knish do you need? I'll give you a better example, which is just clearer. You have cheesecake. Yes, okay, exactly. Now cheesecake is this much, well, depending. this much cake, this much cheese, and a thin layer of cake. We will learn in Mitzvah Shem that any time the cake is there for taste, then it automatically becomes mezainis. If it's there just to hold it together, then you don't make a mezainis. You only make a shahakol. If the flour or mezainis is there to hold it together, to give it taste, right, then it would be a mezainis. So on cheesecake, the crust is also there for taste. It's not just to hold the cheese together. So you'd make a mezainis on it. Now the question is, how much cheesecake do you need to eat to make an ala michya? Do you need to eat a kazayas of the crust or a kazayas of the concoction? And then there's two opinions on halacha. Again, when we get to learn those dinim, we'll discuss those dinim in detail. It's a little complicated, but we're not going to do that now. Okay, so next. Also, in order to make a bracha chreina, whether it's ala michya or b'rei nefashos or whatever it is after drink, you have to eat a kazayas within a certain amount of time. Or you need to drink a revius of liquid, which is demanding the after bracha. You need to eat it, drink it in a certain amount of time. So, a revius is 3 ounces, just more practical by drinking hot tea. So, or hot coffee, or people sip water. Just take a sip here or there. In order to make an after bracha on liquid, you need to drink a revius, which is 3 ounces. The 3 ounces have to be drunk within what's called Kedei Achilas Pras, according to the Alter Rebbe. It's a machlekes, but within 4 to 7 minutes. Okay? Let's say it takes you 9 minutes or 10 minutes to drink 3 ounces. You can have a hot cup of tea or coffee, right? People take a little sip and then wait 5 minutes, another sip. It comes out you don't have 3 ounces within 9 minutes, let's say.
Right.
You can't make an after bracha.
Really?
You can't make an after bracha on it because you didn't eat or drink enough. Remember we were learning matzah, you have to eat the matzah quickly because you need to eat a kazayis within a certain time span. So the same thing with an after bracha. In order to make an after bracha, you need to eat it or drink it within a certain time frame. If you're going to take a sip, people today into the bottles, water bottles, they take a sip, 10 minutes later take another sip, 10 minutes later another sip. You can't make a bracha achreina because you never had 3 ounces. So therefore, in Shulchan Aruch it says, in Kitzur it says, if you're drinking tea, let's say, and you're sipping the tea, you should leave over 3 ounces at the end that you could just drink, properly, that you should be able to make an after bracha. But if you don't, you can't make an after bracha.
So if you drink and stop for 10 minutes and you take another drink, you have to make another shahakol?
No, if you know that you're going to keep drinking, you don't have to make another shahakol. But it doesn't combine. It doesn't combine for the after bracha unless you drink 3 ounces at the end. If you drink 3 hours later, 3 ounces, then you can make an after bracha. But you can't make an after bracha unless if you eat or drink the amount that demands an after bracha within 4 to 7 minutes.
But you always say the bracha before.
Correct.
Including water.
Yeah. Water you only make a bracha on if you're thirsty.
Right.
If you're not thirsty, halachically you don't make a bracha on water.
So then you also wouldn't do an after bracha.
Correct.
Unless you're...
Correct.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Now, how much time do you have to make an after bracha? Okay. You ate a piece of cake, then you remind yourself an hour and a half later or 2 hours later, I didn't make an after bracha. So the din in Shulchan Aruch is like this. If you're still full from what you ate then you can make an after bracha. If you're hungry already from what you ate, then you cannot make an after bracha. B'chlal and halacha time-wise, it's usually called 72 minutes. If it's more than 72 minutes that you didn't eat anything, then you can't make an after bracha already. It's too light. It's too far away that you'd be able to make an after bracha.
If you don't remember if you made it after, that's a bigger problem.
If you don't remember if you made an after bracha or not, then you're not allowed to because it might be a bracha in vain. The rule is suffix bracha is like side benching, which is biblical. You can't if somebody doesn't remember. In other words, like this: if somebody ate bread and got full, and within 72 minutes later, they don't remember if they benched or not. That's how much kavanah they had. They don't remember if they benched. Because, huh?
That's what I'm saying.
It depends which age. Pre-Medicare, post-Medicare, it depends. There's a difference in... Okay, anyway. No, but then the din is, you have to understand... Okay. You have to understand like this. Biblical benching is only when you're full. The Torah says, "V'yachalta, v'savata, uberachta." You eat, you get full, and then you make.
So popular.
Then, biblically, you have to bench if you're full. Okay, if you only ate a kazayas of bread, like an ounce of bread, and you're not full, so benching is rabbinic. That's not biblical. So again, if somebody ate, let's say, a slice of rye bread, which is an ounce, that would demand benching, and you don't remember if you benched or not, so because that benching would be rabbinic, the then is you don't be pre-benching, because suffix brachos lahakel, because you might be saying a bracha in vain. But if you got full, that you have a biblical benching, so then even if you don't remember if you benched, then you would have to bench.
So I'm a little confused here.
Good.
So if I eat
Join Chabad, they confuse you more.
Say I ate 2 slices of bread, and I'm still really hungry, but I'm going to stop eating there? I don't bench?
No, you have to bench. I said, what happens if you don't remember if you benched?
Oh, okay.
No, you have to bench rabbinically. Benching biblically is only when you eat bread and you get full. If you eat bread and you're not full, you have to bench. But it's rabbinic benching, not biblical benching.
But it's still the same.
It's the same benching. The question is it a biblical obligation or is it a rabbinic obligation? That's all. Okay, ideally, when a person eats something and they want to go away they should always remember to make an after bracha in the place before they leave. Because once you leave, there's big questions what to do. Okay. Next.
Should you always sit in the same seat where you re-benched? I mean, should you always go back?
It should be more or less in the same place. If it's within 6 feet, there's not a problem.
What if it's al mechia? Can you go and do something else and then come back?
You could, but then you know what happens? People forget. And that's not a very good thing. Okay, now, we have, so we discussed a little bit about shahakol. Then you have ha'etz and ha'adama, right? Fruits of the ground, you make a very pure adama. Then you have fruits of a tree, is very pure ha'etz. If somebody made ha'adama on an apple, because an apple comes, I don't think you get the message. Because an apple also comes from the ground, so then if you made a very pure adama on an apple, you don't have to make another bracha. But what happens is you're eating watermelon, and you knew you're going to eat watermelon, and I know I'm going to eat an apple. Okay, you know it. And you make a adama on the watermelon, you have to make ha'etz on the apple. Because if you make ha'adama on an apple, you don't have to remake a new bracha because you already said a bracha on the apple, and the bracha is not incorrect because the tree also comes from the ground. But if you ate ha'etz and ha'adama, and you made ha'adama on whatever, and now you're going to eat the ha'etz fruit, you have to make a new bracha ha'etz. Because the bracha you made on Adama is good for the Adama. For the Yaitz, you need to make a new bracha.
If you know what you're going to eat, it's better to make first the eitz and then Adama?
If you know what you're eating, it's better to make ha'etz first, then ha'adama. But what happens if I really like the Adama better? It's not so simple. Then you make a bracha on what you like better, even though it's a different bracha. But the best thing is always to make the more detailed bracha before the more general bracha. First you make ha'etz, then ha'adama. Or you make ha'adama, then shahakol. Even though apidin, even if you make shahakol and I'm eating shahakol and ha'adama, I still have to make 2 brachas. But it's better just to do it because it becomes clearer. Okay, now, things that don't grow from the ground, we know the bracha is shahakol, meat, fish, eggs. Interesting, mushrooms. Even though mushrooms grow on the ground, but the Gemara says their nourishment is from the air, and therefore mushrooms are shahakol.
All mushrooms?
Yeah.
That's what Gemara says, all mushrooms.
Yeah. Actually,
Well, what do you have done with mushrooms?
they're
Like
grown
even
on
as
rice.
mushrooms, they don't grow on it.
All mushrooms officially grow on air.
Yeah, yeah. In the United States, all of the mushrooms are grown on rye seed. They're not grown in the ground.
No. You know what's a very interesting shaila, and I didn't see clear sakalachos from Rabbanim about this, and that is, the hydroponic vegetables that grow in water.
Right.
Yeah, they grow. So the question, what bracha is that?
Right.
The bill, everybody makes adam on it. The question is, they really don't grow from the ground.
Right.
Unless if you want to say, because tomatoes generally grow from the ground, or apples usually, whatever it is, so then you're making a bracha on the tomato, which grows from the ground. But
It's just a common thing in Israel, and the Rabbanim in Israel did not make up sack.
I don't know, I didn't see, maybe they did.
That's so interesting.
I know the fact is most people will make adam on it. That's the fact, what people make on it.
So is that what we do?
There's no choice, meanwhile. Okay, now, what happens if you eat something, but it's not normally eaten raw? Okay, let's say beets or potatoes, or in Russia, in most places in Europe, nobody ate raw carrots. They just didn't eat raw carrots. They ate tzimmis, cooked carrots. So in those countries, by the way, where nobody ate raw carrots, if somebody eats raw carrots, it's shahakol, because they're not grown in those countries to eat raw. They're grown to eat cooked. So if you're eating raw, you're not eating it the normal way it's made to eat. And there are people that even today will make shahak. Some Europeans, I mean, most of them died out already, but because they grew up in Europe on a raw carrot, you made a shahakol. The question was years ago when people didn't eat raw onions. Nowadays, people eat raw onions much more than they did years ago. So there are places years ago that on a raw onion they made shahakol. If somebody today takes a slice of potato, raw potato, and eats it, the brachot is shahakol. The brachot is not adama because nobody eats raw potatoes. If it will become accustomed that everybody starts eating raw potatoes, so then the halacha will be a raw potato will be adama. It's not changing the halacha; it's just changing the fact.
So raw onion would be adama?
Raw onions today is adama, radishes, yeah.
The truth is, what I was going to say is that we do eat a lot more raw vegetable. I don't even think there's one vegetable that we don't eat that isn't raw.
Potato?
That's very common.
Potato?
People don't eat
That's true. That's true.
People don't eat raw potatoes.
No, I meant but most everything else like beets and all that.
A lot of, again,
We eat a lot of.
this,
Raw beans also.
you don't,
Raw eggplant.
Oh, you're right.
one second, you don't, this is not, again, Kabbalistic. If it's a vegetable that's eaten raw, you make adam on it. Okay, if it's not normally eaten raw and you eat it raw, then you make a shahakol. Because it's not the normal way of eating that vegetable. Or fruit. Or
If you have beans, beans is adama.
Yeah, but if you eat a raw bean, nobody eats raw beans today.
But no, when you sprout it and you eat it raw.
Yeah, but that's already, then it's no, that's the way it's made to eat.
No.
What do you mean?
Just, not everybody sprouts it.
But a lot of people sprout it.
Yeah. Nowadays.
Today sprouting is common. If somebody will take, you know, the children's lima beans or kidney beans, whatever, take raw beans and eat it. Okay, you make a shahakol, you don't make a dam.
You can't eat it.
You can't eat that.
If they do, you can't. If you open your mouth and put your, you could eat it. It might not taste good.
You can chew it.
Physically, you're able.
Forever.
But if you sprout it, you can eat it. But it's
Okay, but
then
again,
it's still adama,
then it's adama.
even though it's still raw.
Right. In fact, there's an interesting argument on halacha what bracha you make on sugar. But we pass on Rabbi Paskins the bracha is shahakol. But it's not so simple what bracha sugar would be because it actually grows from the ground.
The sugar we have is very little from the ground.
But official sugar. But even then, now Rabbi Paskins that the original sugar, even when it grows from the ground, it's actually shahakol. Yeah. Okay. Or somebody, let's say somebody eats a fruit that's normally eaten ripe, and they eat it before it's ripened. So again, you don't make adam on or eights, whatever. You make a shahakol because it's not what it should be.
So something like stevia or silan or things like this. Silan comes from a date.
What from a date?
Silan. Pure silan. Silan.
What's
Like a
silan?
sugar syrup, a paste.
There will be shahakol because it doesn't look like the original thing.
So there's shakul, yeah?
It doesn't look like the original thing. Or, for instance, seeds. What bracha do you make on seeds? Pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds.
Adama.
Huh?
Adama.
It's like
Okay, so
No?
over there they're different because the seeds are planted for people to eat. So then it would probably be Adama.
Yeah, when wouldn't it be adama?
Huh?
Would it not be adama?
Because he says, here he brings down, if they're bitter, then even if it's bitter seeds, yeah, you don't make a bracha at all on it. And if you roast them so they taste okay, then you make a shahakol on them. But today it's different
Give me
because
an example of a seed.
seeds.
What kind of a seed?
Could be pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds.
They're not bitter.
Huh?
They're not bitter.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of fruits and vegetables. They had vegetables in those days. You could have bitter seeds.
No, it's a flower. It comes from the sunflower.
Okay.
What?
In the center, those seeds are the sunflower seeds. That
So
brown
it's adama.
Today in Lepel, people make adam on the seeds because today they're sold as seeds. And they're for the grown as seeds. The manufacturers grow them as seeds. So it's a whole different... Okay. Rice and millet is the famous argument. What bracha you make on rice? It's interesting. The frum world makes a mezainis on rice. and shahakol on millet.
Interesting.
Because there's an argument between Eides and Deichen. No, the Gemara says Eides is one bracha, Deichen is another bracha.
Why wouldn't Dechach be Adama?
Because the question is, what is rice? In Hebrew today, Orez is rice. But in halacha, there's one opinion, there's many opinions say Orez is not rice, Orez is millet, and Dochen is rice.
Oh.
So because in Hebrew today, in Ivrit, or even, people that speak Hebrew, Orez is rice. But in halacha, it's a machlekes what Orez is and what Dochen is. One of the two is millet and one of the two are rice. So some poskim write Orez is rice and millet is Deichen. Some people say no, Orez is millet and rice is Deichen. So the Alter Rebbe, the Mishnah Brod, you have all the Litvisher people, not the Chassidus Shalem. And even the Chassidus Shalem, depends if they paskin like the Alter Rebbe or not. Mishnah Broda and most poskim say you eat rice, it's mezainis. No, it's not. The after bracha is Bayer Nefashis. It's interesting. Even if you make mezainis on rice, it says in Shulchan because it's not one of the 5 grains, the after bracha would be a Bayer Nefashis. But the Alter Rebbe paskins rice you should try to eat during a meal where you don't have a question because you washed. But if not, bottom line, the Alter Rebbe paskins you make a shahakol on rice. Which, by the way, just for a second to take it a step further, according to those opinions, what brachot you make on rice cakes?
Shahakol.
No, according to Alter Rebbe you make shahakol. According to them, that rice is mezainis.
Oh, so they make mezainis.
They would make mezainis on rice cakes. They would make mezainis on Rice Krispies. Because according to them, it's popped rice. What's Rice Krispies?
Interesting.
Popped rice.
Right.
So they hold rice as a mezainis.
That we
Or
don't.
sometimes Adam. The Alter Rebbe Paskin's bottom line is, if you eat it out of a meal, then the bracha is shahakol, and that's what
In
you do.
Israel, for the rice cakes, they make Adama.
They make Adama because it could be, it doesn't look the original, but according to the Alter Rebbe, rice cakes are shahakol.
So what do we make? What's
A shahakol, according to Alter Rebbe, you make a shahakol. Because Alter Rebbe holds rice, it's shahakol apel. Okay, let's go to the next thing over here that's called Iker and Tafel. Okay, this is what we were talking about before. Primary and secondary. If you eat primary and secondary, meaning this, the only reason why I'm eating the secondary is because of the primary. Without the primary, I wouldn't be eating the secondary. Then you make a bracha on the primary, not on the secondary. Okay?
Ice cream cone.
Exactly.
No.
No?
No. Now, okay, now that everybody is brought up the ice cream cones, a few times already, you got to talk about it. Just for FYI, like they say in America, there's 2 types of cones. Sugar cones and the regular tasteless cones. No, okay, it's relevant in halacha. Let me give you a brief historical introduction of where ice cream cones came from. This originated in England many, many years ago. There's a guy that had an ice cream shop and used to pour ice cream into a cup. Yeah? And one time business was going very well and he ran out of cups. And he didn't know how to serve the ice cream. And next door to him was a waffle shop. So he had a brainstorm, take a waffle, he got the waffle from the guy next door, and he put the ice cream in it, and that ice cream cone became born. This is the origin, by the way, of ice cream cones, where it comes from. Okay? If you're educated in ice cream cones, this is where it came from. Now, there's 2 types of cones, the sugar cones and the tasteless cones. According to halacha, a tasteless cone is not there for taste. It's there to hold the ice cream. So even though, as a rule, we said, let me just explain this thing first. Mezainis is always primary unless if it's there to hold it together or for color. Otherwise, mezainis, anytime it's there for taste, could be a minority ingredient, the brachot would still be mezainis. If it's there to hold something together or to give coloring or whatever, then you don't make a bracha on the mezainis. I'll give you a very simple example of this. People make meatballs. Yes? Not giving recipes now. That's a different class. But a lot of times in meatballs or in fried fish or schnitzel, yeah? Okay, in meatballs you'd put matzah mel in there.
Right, or breadcrumb.
Correct? Now matzah mel, because it doesn't look like bread, it's all ground up, becomes a mezainis. What about you make a matzah balls? Mezainis. Number one, it's cooked. Secondly, it doesn't look like bread anymore. So if you have hamburgers, yeah, and you put matzah mel into the hamburger, what bracha is that hamburger? Shahakol. Why? There's matzah mel in it. And matzah mel is always primary, because mezainis is always primary. So the answer, not because you don't see it, the answer is the purpose of the matzah mel in the meat is to hold the meat together. So then mezainis doesn't have a din of primary, it has a din of secondary. Therefore you wouldn't make a bracha on it. The question is, the big question, Rabbanim don't understand, but they say, this is what the custom is and that's it. If you make schnitzel or fried fish, yeah? So you either use matzah mel or flour with the egg, right? I'm not, no recipes tonight. But bottom line is, on schnitzel, fried fish, there is a coating of matzah mel or flour.
Right.
Correct? What bracha would that be? What bracha do you make on schnitzel? Shako. Why? There's mezainis on it. So the truth is that Rabbanim have a difficult time with it, because reality is it's for taste. But the Rabbanim say that the professionals say that, believe it or not, the flour and the matzah mel is to hold the egg to the meat or to the fish.
That's very true.
Okay, that's I'm telling the experts.
What's the story with croutons?
One second.
Okay.
One second. So therefore, because the matzah mel or the flour, which would be normally mezainis, is only there to hold the egg, even though it doesn't make sense, to hold the egg to the fish or to the schnitzel. So then again, the mezainis is completely secondary, and therefore you make a shahakol, you don't make a mezainis. What?
Actually, the egg is there to hold the matzah mel.
I know, that's the question. But the pearl, they say that the matzah mel is to hold the egg to the fish. What?
Did you say, though, that as far as proportions are concerned, that the mazonos has to be a minority? Though, let's say if let's say a meatball is like 3/4 matzah meal, for some reason.
It's a matzah
And
ball, it's not a
and it's just a
matzah.
little meat, or like a lot of matzah meal.
So then, okay. So obviously in that case, the matzah mel is because it's cheaper, and that's what you want it to taste like that.
Yeah.
So then it would be a mezainis. Okay, I'll give you another example. If you look at the cold cereals, Kellogg's Post, whatever they are, yeah? You have in the ingredients, so like if you read the ingredients, which is very relevant to know what bracha the cereal would be, yeah? You can have, starting off like this, corn flour, this and that, and then 4 or 5 guys down, it says oat flour. Okay? So even though it's the minority, because there's, according to law, the larger amount comes first in the ingredients. So even though it could be the 3rd or 4th thing of oat flour or wheat flour, whatever it may be, so you still make a mezainis on that cereal because it's there for taste. It's not there to hold anything together. But if it's there to hold things together, then you don't make a bracha mezainis on it. And therefore you can have an interesting thing. What bracha would you make if you have a salad? Okay, you mentioned the word croutons. Or, now the question, what bracha is croutons?
Well,
Well, it depends. If the flour and water, it might be a meitzi. It could be a
So
meitzi.
if it's bread, it's hamotzi.
Right. If it's mamish bread, then you'd have to wash in that salad.
Right. Okay.
Unless if you take out, not Shabbos, take out the croutons, then obviously you don't have to wash or make mezainis. But it can get very tricky sometimes because you need to know why the mezanis is there, why is it there, and what brachot, what's primary, secondary. Now I'll give you another example. What happens if you know what fruit cocktail is?
Yeah.
A mixture of fruits. Now you have let's see, there's cans of fruit cocktail. You make it yourself, right? In it you have a lot of ha'etz, and you have pineapples, which is ha'adama. Correct? Or you have a salad. Okay, you have a salad, let's say lettuce or whatever, and then you have some fruit in it. People put fruit in it.
Or avocado.
Avocados also ha'etz.
Right.
So now the question is, it's whole concoction of salad, but they're both the same. I mean, everything's the same. So then the Alter Rebbe, not everybody, but the Alter Rebbe rules that you go by the majority. If the majority is ha'adam, it's ha'adam. If the majority is ha'etz, it's ha'etz.
But something is to enhance something, not like the croutons.
No.
They are there for the salad. So
I
they're
understand,
not-
but it's there for taste also. It's not only there to decorate the salad. If the crouton would only be there to decorate the salad, not for taste, then you're right. The salad would not be mezanos. But if it's there for taste, and now it's mixed together, so you have mezanos and ha'adama and ha'etz mixed together. So we learned that mezanos is always the primary unless it's there for color or to hold it together.
And sometimes you eat these gefilte fish, they call rolls. They might have a lot of fillers in there, right?
Yeah, but the boil, that's all there to hold the fish together.
Yeah, it's whole food.
And gefilte fish, you make a shahakol. Even though there's matzamel in it, if you look at the ingredients, there's matzamel or other stuff.
Very little fish in it.
Very well, fillers.
Yeah, but most of the fillers, by the way, are shahakol.
Oh, they are?
Yeah. Good ingredients.
They have mitzvahs.
Okay, maybe.
And not only that, a lot of times there's another issue involved. If something is pureed, yeah, it loses its status. But what brachot do you make on oranges? Shahakol, right? Unless if there's pieces in it. If there's pieces in it, or pulp as it's called in the containers, so then you're having actually a piece of orange, so you make it. But if something is pure, strawberry, you take a strawberry, which is ha'adama, right, and you puree it, you make it into an icy or ice cream or whatever, it loses its status because it's ground up. It loses the status of ha'adama or ha'etz or whatever it is, and it becomes shahakol.
Mashed potato too?
Smoothie.
Yeah.
Mashed potatoes, the minig is lepel. Usually mashed potatoes have pieces in them. Number one, unless if they're the instant mashed potatoes,
Right.
which is shahakol because it's like Pringles, it's dehydrated potatoes. But by the way, just with that, let me just say while I'm at it, mashed potatoes usually will have some pieces of a potato in it, then it'll be ha'adama. But even applesauce,
I like it.
applesauce, you can have a homemade applesauce has pieces in it usually.
Right.
Or even you make it at home, you blend it and it's completely, or you go buy, a jar of applesauce from the store. So Rabbi Shmuel David Reichik says that he saw the Friedrich Rebbe made ha'etz on it.
Like what?
Made ha'etz on applesauce that was completely no pieces.
Pureed or otherwise.
Yeah,
It's always
he said he
plant-based.
saw the Friedrich Rebbe make ha'etz on it. I mean, he's reliable and that would be it. But the question is, technically, if you have something ground up completely, then the din is like a drink. It's not any different than any drink that you drink. What?
Imagine a salad that had the small pieces of croutons that was zonos. Let's say, obviously, there's not usually a lot of them, and there's usually a lot of salads. So would the after brachot be borei nefashos, even though you made amazonos on the?
Then it becomes a question. It's the same question as the cheesecake that we'll get to eventually.
What was the answer?
There's different opinions. Now, Rebbe should be machmer to the kazayis of the mezanis within 4 minutes. The kazayis of the actual mezanis. But lepel, the minig in the world is that if you eat a piece of cheesecake, they make The minig is they make alamechya on it.
Even if it's like a small, like,
Not the tiny. I mean,
no, because sometimes you have like it's all high and fluffy and cheesy, and then there's like this thin, like.
yeah, but the
crusty
thin,
that is so
believe it or
small.
not, is thicker than you think it is.
Heavier, maybe.
It's heavier and
You
it's
would
thicker.
almost have to eat the crust first, I think.
Yeah.
And then you start eating more pieces. to
Yeah.
make sure.
See, that's why the men that wrote the Shulchan Aruch probably like cheesecake, so therefore they ruled you need to eat a kazayas. They weren't on diets necessarily, so they you need to eat a kazayas. Okay, now by the way, once we got off on a tangent with Iker and Tofel. What happens if I want to take a shot of whiskey? Okay, and or a very sharp herring, let's say, and I need something with it. So I take a piece of bread. Now I'm only eating the bread because of the
Intense taste.
of the mashke, the liquor, or the thing. So then the din is, the Alter Rebbe holds you don't even have to wash in the bread. You don't make a brach on the bread, and you don't even have to wash in the bread. Because you're only eating it because of the whiskey, so then, I mean, by Chassidim, they'll try to take a piece of mezainis first, but I'm saying, push comes to shove. You took a thing of whiskey, and all of a sudden the only thing there is a piece of bread, and you need it, you don't make a brach on it. Because you're only doing it because of the mashka that you have.
Is it just a bite, or is that like...
No, you don't make a brach on it.
No benching.
Oh, benching for sure not. Now, what happens? Okay, let's say you have cereal and milk. Yeah, let's say the cereal is Adam or mezainis, and you're putting milk in. Now you have cereal and milk. What is the primary? What is the secondary? Primary is the cereal. Okay, secondary is the milk. You're eating the milk because of the cereal. You're not eating the cereal because of the milk. I mean, normally. So therefore, what bracha? Let's say the cereal is mezainis. What bracha would you make on the cereal? You'd make a mezainis.
Right.
Now, what happens if at the end of the cereal there's a little bit of milk left over in the bowl, without any cereal left in it? What happens always, right?
Yeah.
See, now you have a little. You don't make a shahakol on the milk, because the milk became part of the cereal, and even if you eat the milk separately, or any other food that you're eating secondary, I'll give you another example. Somebody wants crackers with peanut butter on it, or cream cheese on it. Cream cheese is shahakol, peanut butter is shahakol, unless there's pieces, right? The crackers mezainis. So what do? You have now peanut butter and a cracker, a cracker with peanut butter, right? And you're eating it. What bracha do you make? You can't make two brachas. Not only that, if somebody made a mezainis on the cracker, and then made a shahakol on the peanut butter, he said a bracha in vain. What you could do, it says in halacha, if you really like the peanut butter better than the cracker, then you can make first a bracha shahakol on the peanut butter, and then you can make a mezainis on the cracker. But once you make a mezainis on the cracker, even though you like the peanut butter better,
You're still saying...
as long as the peanut butter is on the cracker, now if you take a scoop of peanut butter from the container, yeah, then you have to make a shackle on it, because it's not on the cracker. But if it's on the cracker, then you need to make only mezainis. You can't make a shackle. And if somebody made mezainis first, and then, or let's say in the case of cereal or milk, made a mezainis in the cereal, and now at the end of the cereal, there's a little bit of milk left over in the bowl, and you make a shahakol on the milk, you made a bracha in vain. What?
So even if, let's say, you had that piece of cracker with the peanut butter and you made a mazonos, and then you ate peanut butter, and then...
That's on the cracker or separate?
That's on the cracker. And then you decide, like you just said, that you want to take peanut butter from the container.
Then you'd make a shahakol on that peanut butter.
Even though you already ate peanut butter. With
Yeah, but that
cracker.
peanut butter was not peanut butter. That peanut butter is cracker.
Right.
Yeah,
That peanut butter had a din of a cracker. Huh?
What if you have raisins in your cereal with your milk or a banana? So then you.
What's the
Mazonas?
primary and what's the secondary?
Okay, so it's the cereal. Okay, so it's the mazonas.
I don't know if people eat it today. Years ago, there was something called peaches and cream. I don't even know if you don't hear people eating it too much today. You know what it is in the old?
Yeah, I'm not that old.
Okay, let's not get personal. You have, somebody has peaches and cream. You learned. That's what you came here tonight. You learned. Okay. Now, what's primary? What's secondary?
That's what you like.
So that's what I'm saying. It could be, if you like peaches better, then you'd make eights on the peach. If you like the cream better, sour cream better, then you'd make a brach on the sour cream. And if by you it's 50-50, technically you can probably make two brachas. You can make a bracha first on the peach. The best thing would be, by the way, in that case, before you mixed it together, take a piece of peach and make eights. Take a little cream and make shahakol. So it's not mixed together yet. So it's not ikar and tafel. So it's separate. So you can make two brachas.
So you could you're having a banana with a cereal that has raisins in it. So you can take the raisins and eat raisins by themselves and make an eighth. Then you can take a banana, eat a little banana, and make a dama. You eat first the
Raisins.
the cereal.
Oh, the cereal.
Mizunah.
No, once you make a mazenis on the cereal and it's all mixed together, you
if
can't.
it's not mixed together.
If not mixed
And I have it
together,
like this.
that's what people do. A lot of times they like say people banana into Rice Krispies or whatever. Before they put it into they'll take a little piece of banana, they'll make a dama, and that's what they'll do.
Okay, so you can eat it separately, make separate brachas, and then you can
Yeah,
mix it together.
because then it's not primary and secondary. Primary and secondary mean when they're mixed together, or you're only eating one because of the next. Here you're eating them separately.
Okay, now the peanut butter with the cracker, isn't the cracker there to hold the peanut butter?
No, it's there for taste. Again, anytime it's there for taste also, it's primary. So it's mezainis. If it's only there to hold it together, and not for taste, that's not what it's made for. Like we said, the tasteless ice cream cones are not there for taste because they're tasteless. It's cardboard. I mean, it's basically tasteless. So it's there to hold the ice cream, so there you wouldn't even make a bracha. You make shak on the ice cream. And then, now, if you have the ice cream cone, that's the sugar cones, now technically the cone is also there for taste. So then halacha says like this: if by you, that's incorrect English. If by you, whatever, the ice cream is more important than the cone, you can make a shahakol on the ice cream and then mezenis on the cone. But if you make a mezenis on the cone, then you cannot make a shahakol on the ice cream. Because now it's shahakol mezenis, and mezenis became primary. So you can only do it if you make a shahakol first, and then, okay, to be continued. Let's go to Tanya.
Wow.
You're going to see?